Alright guys, so we're going to be talking about Isaac from Castlevania. I'm going to go ahead and get into his origin, but first, before we do that, can you guys like and subscribe, and thank you all for clicking on the video. So, Isaac's origin, right? Isaac was initially a slave that was viciously beat by his master. And one day, his master found him going through his books, and even though Isaac was going through these books to gain knowledge to help his master, he still went and beat him viciously. Isaac, realizing that this was not how it was supposed to be, was driven to his breaking point. And in his anger, he killed this man. And this would later be the catalyst for Isaac to hate all humans. Later in his life, he would be rescued by Dracula from a group of magicians who intended to take him and sell his body parts, like his organs, on the black market. After this happens, he goes on and joins Dracula in his campaign against humanity, becoming one of his members, one of his generals. While supporting Dracula in his castle, he learns that there's an insurrection that's going to happen, a rebellion, and traitors amongst the group. And as he's trying to weed out the corruption, he executes the traitor Godbrand, showing his incredible talent with combat, because he was able to kill Godbrand fairly easily, who is a pretty powerful vampire, right? And he's later tricked by Carmilla and Hector into a compromising position for him and Dracula. Isaac was Dracula's by far most loyal human servant, and when attacked by Trevor and his crew, he was ready to die by Dracula's side. However, Dracula, respecting Isaac more than just a servant, but as a friend, and as a loyal follower, and as a brother, he saves his life and transfers Isaac into the desert. While Isaac is in the desert, he is attacked by these thieves, and Isaac, lamenting the human race and its wickedness, kills these men and then turns them into some of his undead soldiers. We then see he continues to amass his army of undead soldiers, and then he goes on a mission to return to Europe and get revenge for Dracula for his betrayal at Carmilla's hands and Hector. As Isaac arrives at a port in Tunis, he meets a curious blind shopkeeper who can smell his magical abilities because he has smelled, tasted, and seen hell itself. He asks if he has a transmission mirror so that he can easily get back, but he tells him that he does not. But he does have a mirror where you can see somebody's thoughts or see someone, right? And he gives him this mirror for free, or actually he wants to trade, because he asks to be raised from hell when the opportunity arises for Isaac, because the shopkeeper knows that he's going down there. So he asks if when the time comes, Isaac would raise him back on earth using his powers, to which Isaac agrees. We also see him make a joke, which shocks Isaac, because he's not used to behavior like this. And after this happens, as he leaves, he is threatened or told to leave by the guards of the city, who don't like him and his monsters, as they cause too much fear, and they are afraid of what they don't understand, seeing these monsters and demons running around their city. Okay, so that is the backstory before we get into the first of the three scenes. But I'm also going to go over his powers and abilities very quickly, right? So to reiterate, Isaac possesses the ability to kill people and then imbue their dead bodies with souls from hell. He also has incredible combat abilities. So as we can see with his fight with Carmilla, although obviously he's aided by his night creatures, he's still able to keep up in some parts by himself, which is insane, because Carmilla is a very powerful vampire. He primarily fights with a ceremonial dagger, which he manipulates magic, in which he can raise his temperature to extremely high degrees. He also uses that magic with his incredibly strong willpower, where he's able to resist the magician Legion's mind control magic and resist all manipulations from the vampire generals in Dracula's army. So he has a very strong willpower. He's very strong in that department. He also is able to create completely obedient soldiers that obey his every command, to the point of where when he's not giving the commands, they are questioning why they're not getting commands from him. Okay, so the first scene is going to be when Isaac meets the captain.
Don't have your own story. You become part of someone else's.
So Isaac initially threatens the captain, saying that he's just going to take his ship. However, the captain proves to be a very resilient man, not fearing Isaac's threats or his monsters. And after a little bit of haggling and a little bit of word fighting, he agrees to let Isaac and his monsters aboard after receiving the payment, right? And later the captain and Isaac meet in the cabin, and the captain inquires about Isaac's past and what he plans to do. And Isaac explains that he intends to exterminate and get revenge on all of humanity for how they treated him just because they are overall wicked. And after hearing this plan, the captain questions it, retorting that humanity does not seem to be dead. And so what's going on? Like, what's been going on with his plan? And we see the captain's charisma here. And as he's talking to the captain, and the captain's just asking him questions about what he wants to do and everything, we see him ask one brilliant question that completely, we see Isaac visibly shaken by this question. We see him falter. Because he says that he is going to plan to kill everyone and get his revenge, and the captain asks, and then what? This shocks Isaac, right? To which the captain then responds, if you don't have your own story, you become part of someone else's. And then admitting that he just made it up on the spot right there. To which the captain then goes into a hear me out moment. And you know when someone says hear me out, they better cook or say some straight nonsense. The captain then tells him, why focus on Dracula's story when Isaac has his own story to tell? The captain tells him that he's focusing on the negative humanity. But then he explains to him that someone gave you a gift and had a joke with you just the other day. But humanity, you always focus on humanity's wickedness and the poor treatment that you received from those guards. To which Isaac responds and says, do you deny the wickedness or that our species is cruel? The captain does not deny the statement, but proposes another. If you destroy humanity's cruelty, you also destroy the potential for kindness. And then he poses a question, with all these talents, why don't you teach mankind to be kind? He says, yes, get your revenge. People need to be punished, right? Sometimes people need to be put in the dirt. But after you win and you get the region by sake of conquerors' rights, why don't you lead? You lead your beasts, why not lead people? Isaac considers the thought, smiles to himself, and asks for more water. The captain smiles and then gives it to him, saying, this is my gift to you, and I give it to you freely. He's talking about the water, but I believe he's also talking about the wisdom and the knowledge to which he's just imparted upon him. So yeah, that's a credible scene right there. And then we'll go on to the next scene where Isaac talks to the demon.
You can use a hammer to build a house, or crack a skull.
Isaac has previously spoken to this demon before named Fly Eyes, right? Because he found out that there was a demon who could speak. And after they have their conversation where the demon explains how he died, how he ended up in hell, and how he was killed by Christians and how he despises Christians, we see that Isaac is shook by the conversation. So later he's approached by Fly Eyes, and after they defeat Legion, they are cleaning up the bodies from the battle, and the demon is curious. And he calls him by his title, Forge Master, until Isaac says, you can call me Isaac. Isaac then offers the night creature a berry, to which the night creature makes his point, saying that night creatures do not eat fruit. They eat blood, they eat meat. And then Isaac says, I don't think a berry would kill you. Fly Eyes then reiterates that their pleasure to kill, to despoil, and to destroy. However, Isaac goes and then corrects them and says that they are meant to do the will of their Forge Master. If the will of their Forge Master is to do this, you're supposed to do that. That is not what your will is. And then Fly Eyes claims that he doesn't understand the will, and Isaac explains that the disease and insects will run rampant if they do not end up removing all of these bodies. And then he says that he knows, he gets the point. He understands what happens when you just leave bodies around like that. The place is uninhabitable. So then Isaac says, I need you to get to the actual point. Like, what is your question? And Fly Eye states that night creatures do not do this. He says they destroy, they despoil, and they kill. And Isaac has them rebuilding and repairing a place. And he says that Isaac is making them go against their nature. Why would he make them do that? So when Isaac hits him with this, with the facts and logic, he says that their nature is fluid. They only believe the destruction is the purpose because that is what they've always been used to. And then he offers him a berry again. This time Fly Eyes takes the berry and he regains some of his memories. Isaac says, and he makes a joke about how it doesn't look like he's died after that. And Isaac explains that the city was home to many, and that one day it could be home to even more if it's repaired. And he says that after they leave the city, people will be able to find and live in this city. And after explaining this to him, he asks Fly Eyes if he would like another berry, which Fly Eyes accepts more readily this time. And then we hear this goated elite quote. He says, "You can use a hammer to build a house or crack a skull." Explaining that a tool's purpose is behind the wielder. A tool is not inherently for destruction unless the one who's wielding it decides to use it for destruction. And then he gives this crazy speech where he talks about how you are returned to earth as tools and he will use them as he wishes, right? He also states that he can also say that Fly Eyes and all of them are not tools, right? Because he poses a very good point. What tool would taste a berry and then after tasting the berry would regain memories of their past life? And then Fly Eyes states that they are creatures of hell and that they are commanded to do the will of Isaac. They are meant to be commanded by their forge master, right? To which Isaac then gives this crazy speech where he just goes hard for no reason. And then Fly Eyes admits that he does not know. And Isaac admits that he doesn't know either. And then Isaac goes and states that they should find out and see. But while they're learning this, they can do more than what they were initially intended to. They don't have to be destroyers. Maybe they could create. Maybe they could build. And then Fly Eyes then states an observation after asking for Isaac, because it still as a night creature, he waits for that affirmation to say it. And he states that Isaac is changing. He still has that desire for revenge, but there's something more evident in Isaac's behavior, in his personality now. Something that was not previously present. But through his conversations, we see that it's becoming something that's starting off as a little spark, but starting to grow into a great wildfire. And then Fly Eyes asks him, are they still fighting? And then Isaac states that they're always fighting for something. And then we go on to the final scene.
His rest. We can and should move forward.
Which is Isaac talking with Hector. And immediately it just gets into peak, right? Isaac walks in and asks where his little vampire girlfriend is and how his hand is doing. They make a little joke with each other where Hector says, I guess I won't be able to play any more music. And then Isaac's like, did you even? And then afterward, Isaac goes to pour himself some water. And while he's reaching for it, Hector asks when they're going to work on reviving Dracula. And then we see right here, Isaac's hand stops slightly. It conveys his emotions without even having to say anything, right? Because we see him recurl just from hearing that. And Isaac says no. And then we see Hector's obviously very clearly shaken because he wants to amend the mistakes and the things that he's done wrong and how he led to Dracula's death. However, Isaac explains to him that he was manipulated by Carmilla. And he was a tool for others who had a higher intention that he could not even understand. Or that he didn't understand until later. And they discuss how over the time Isaac has changed. He's spoken to people both alive and not exactly alive who changed his mind. And Isaac realized that they should let Dracula sleep and start writing their own story. He acknowledges that they were both mistreated by humans and followed Dracula in their goals to see the world punished. But Isaac says that there is more that they could do, and it's time to move forward to look for their own futures. Isaac then questions what it is that Hector would want out of life, and Hector states that he wants to be with Lenore, who's his vampire girlfriend. And Isaac says, if that's what you want, then you can have that. But Hector then asks, what is it that Isaac wants? And Isaac says that he is now considering a future which he would never have considered before. He convinced him that there is no future, only an eternal now, is what he had always previously believed. He would survive day after day, but not actually living. He says that he wants to not only find out why that he wants to live, but he wants to find a way of living that he can share with others. Going back to what the captain had previously talked about. He even goes as far as to say Dracula did not run things well even before his wife died. This is insane character development that we're seeing here, guys. And Dracula lived one long night, but never getting to the future, never getting to tomorrow. He says that Dracula has earned his rest, and that Isaac intends to build a better life where everyone can live happy and enjoy a good future. And in the end, we see in his final scenes, he sits down, smiles, and claims that he is going to live. From a man who wanted to die, to a man who not only wants to live, but share that truth of living with others. Yeah, Isaac is such a well done character, honestly. I was not expecting this while I was watching his character, but every time Isaac would come up on screen again, I would be like, oh, okay. Wait, this guy, he's still alive? Like, we're still talking about him? And it started to become, I was more interested in Isaac's plot than the main plotline of the story. It's like, you know, the side character is good when every time they get on screen, you are so excited to see them. The voice actor was also very good, conveying his emotions excellently in his voice. But it's from loyal servant who was always used to serving a master to become someone who shapes his own destiny, overcoming his past hatred for humanity to now opening his mind to the potential of humanity. And I think the biggest thing why these scenes are so good is they all show his openness to listen to someone else. He is initially narrow-minded, but he does not completely destroy the possibility of hearing somebody else out. I really like how it was also shown that it was Dracula who quite literally, physically, and also mentally gave him that push. Dracula could have been selfish and said, you can die with me, but no. He literally pushed him to go find his own way in the world. Literally, it's just so well written. I don't know what else I can say, man. It's just great. And I chose these three scenes because I feel like these are the three scenes that elevate his character. His fight with Carmilla is amazing. Him killing Godbrand is incredible. His fight with Legion is great. But I think it's the aftermath of these battles, or what is coming up to these, or what's led around them, that truly elevates his character. It's these moments where he has these conversations with people. Because Isaac is just a straight quote machine. Like him and the captain. Honestly, like if I could just make him and the captain. I could make 3 scenes out of that, and this whole video could just be that. But no, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I just want to talk about this and bring attention to this character because I think Castlevania is criminally underrated. I think Castlevania is very, very much so underrated, and I think people need to talk about this a lot more. Castlevania Nocturne, I gotta see what they do with that character, with those characters, because so far, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I have to see more. But overall, I hope you can see why Isaac is so well written, how the author excellently executed this story with the characters that support him extremely well and question his mentality, leading Isaac to eventually question his former master's mentality. And honestly, this was just such a pleasure to read. I definitely recommend you guys all go watch Castlevania. I didn't cover everything in here because I think there's some parts that you gotta go watch for yourself. But thank you guys all for watching, and you guys all have a great one. Alright, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you.